Hello and welcome back once again to the Wrestling Group. I'm your host, as always, Ryan, and today we are going to be doing our preview and predictions of AEW Dynamite tonight. This is the Wednesday, December 3rd edition. We have Continental Classic is in full swing. We have the women's tag team tournament that's still ongoing, and we have a face-to-face between world champion and challenger. So there's a lot to look at in today's episode, and it's a really exciting time for fans. I don't know about you, but as an AEW fan, this is my favourite time of the year, the Continental Classic. We just get absolutely banging matches twice a week. You know what I mean? We get great matches on Dynamite, and then we move on to Collision. We get great matches on Collision. And sometimes that's all we want to see as fans of actual wrestling. You just want to see the actual wrestling, 20-minute time, everyone bang from ringside, and two guys just go at it. So having said that, we shall get straight into it. So one of the matches that we have announced for tonight is Kyle Fletcher versus Kevin Knight. Now, both these guys picked up victories in their first matches. Kevin Knight defeated Darby Allin, an injured Darby Allin. But even still, managing to pick up a victory against Darby Allin is a really, really good feat, especially because we haven't seen a lot of Kevin Knight as a singles wrestler. Obviously, that's how AEW signed him. They didn't sign him as a team. AEW paired him with Speedball. But having said that, it's probably his biggest singles victory to date, a pinfall victory over Darby Allin. And he is facing, like I say, the proto-star Kyle Fletcher, former TNT champion. He picked up a victory against Don Callis' family member, Kazuchika Okada. So this match is going to be an interesting one, because one of these guys is going to get another 3 points and go top of the league. I think, to be honest, I can't see past Kyle Fletcher. I think Kyle Fletcher has to pick up the victory here. Like I say, Kevin Knight's had a great run, a great win over Darby, and I feel like he's probably going to pick up another win or two along the way. But Kyle Fletcher should be winning this match. He's had an absolute phenomenal 2025. He is clearly the future of AEW and a future world champion, and he should really be beating Kevin Knight, especially coming off the back of pinning Kazuchika Okada, which not many in AEW have actually done. So in this match, I'm going to give this one to Kyle Fletcher for the victory. So up next, we'll look at Kazuchika Okada, who just mentioned, obviously lost in his first match against Kyle Fletcher, and he is facing against Death Riders member, the Bastard Pac, who picked up a victory in his first match as well. He picked up 3 points against Speedball Mike Bailey in a great match on Collision this week. To be honest with you, I'm a big fan of Speedballs, but I did expect it to be more one-sided towards Pac than what it was. It was a great 50-50 match, I'll say. At some points it did actually look like Speedball pick up a victory, and that's exactly what we want to see in these type of matches. Is you want to see it where they can swing from, you think one guy's going to win, and then obviously then you think the other guy might win. So, I might be wrong, but I think this might actually be the first ever singles match between Kazuchika Okada and Pac. I can't remember there being a previous one, either in AEW or before. So if I am incorrect, please let me know. Drop me when they faced each other, and I'll go check it out, because I am really interested in seeing these two guys face off against each other. And not just these two guys, this version of Pac as well. He's put on a lot of muscle, a lot of timber in the last couple of months. He's shredded, and he's got a lot of power. So I'll be interested to see how Kazuchika Okada deals with the Bastard. But I can't see Kazuchika Okada going back-to-back losses, so I'm going to say Kazuchika Okada picks up the win, because of course it's his championship that's on the line during this tournament. The winner of the tournament, the whole tournament, will be the Continental Champion, and I can't imagine him, after going, how many days is it, 400 and something odd days as champion, to him then like losing every match in the tournament round. So I'm going to say Okada picks up the victory against Pac, but I think it's definitely going to be an interesting one. To be honest, every match on this card is really interesting. That's why I wanted to make sure I did a previews and predictions, because I don't always do them for Dynamite. But you know what? I think I'm going to try and start doing weekly ones. If that's something that you're interested in, let me know. It's always good to hear feedback, good or bad. Let me know in the comments. And then we look at the women's semi-final, is it? Yeah, the semi-final for the AEW Women's World Tag Team Championships. We're going to be crowning the very first AEW Women's Tag Team Champions. And it is Toni Storm and Mina Shirakawa versus Megan Bayne and Marina Shafir. This is going to be a hardcore holiday death match, as Toni Storm called the stipulation after they picked up the victory at the last pay-per-view. Do you know, after the whole time they've announced these titles and they've announced the tournament, and then obviously when they announced the participants, but literally from the get-go, we've always said, I think Toni and Mina are going to pick up the titles. They've been teaming for a long while, even before this tournament became a thing. Toni's obviously the most popular female in the company, even still now. To be honest, I don't think I've ever seen anyone say a bad thing about Mina Shirakawa. To be fair, she's bags of energy. She's not the greatest in the ring, but she's good at what she does, and they complement each other really well. Now, on the other hand, we had Megan Bayne, who's supposed to obviously be tag team with Penelope Ford. She got a massive upgrade, and Marina Shafir. We've seen Marina on the odd occasion for the Death Riders. I mean, if you watch all wrestling, you'll have seen as much of her as I have. Like, yes, we've seen her a few times in AEW where she's had, mixed tag matches with Mox. She had a mixed tag match with Mox, didn't she? She was part of the Anarchy in the Arena. We've seen her in tag matches. We've seen her in multi-win matches. We've seen her in the odd singles on AEW, but obviously if you watch Ring of Honor, she has singles matches nearly every week. She's undefeated. She also has mixed tag matches with Wheeler Yuta in Ring of Honor as well on the odd occasion. They're undefeated as well. And she's also been the Defy Women's Champion for about a year now, and she's obviously on a great run there too. So obviously, I've been following her ever since they introduced her into the Death Riders. Obviously, I'd watched a bit of it beforehand, but I've proper followed the work since. I really, really like Marina. I think she's a great addition to the Death Riders. I think Megan Bayne is improving. I wasn't too sold on her when she first come over. I'm not going to lie. I thought she was going to be another Jade Cargill, but it's clear she knows a lot more moves than what Jade Cargill does, even now. And you know what? I really like them as a team together. I think they're really good as a tag team together. And you know what? I feel like, because Willow and Harley should get the victory for their team, then it should be Marina Shafir and Megan Bayne versus Harley and Willow in the final. So I'm going to say it's Marina Shafir and Megan Bayne for the victory. I'm going against my original thought. Yeah, so like I say, I just thought then, Willow and Harley have already picked up the victory. Didn't actually dump Sisters of Sin out of the tournament yet, so I'm picking obviously Megan Bayne and Marina Shafir to go against Harley and Willow. So up next, we are looking at Samoa Joe and Eddie Kingston having a face-to-face. Obviously, we've seen when Samoa Joe defeated Hangman Page to become two-time AEW World Champion. Hook turned on Hangman, hit him with the belt. Obviously, it's then revealed that he is still, in fact, with the Ops, and he never left. Obviously, since returning, though, he's been teaming with Eddie Kingston. They've been a tag team and had their eyes set on the tag team titles. So it sort of left Eddie in a bit of a sticky situation. He said he doesn't blame Hook, but he blames Samoa Joe. So there we have Samoa Joe will defend his AEW World Championship against Eddie Kingston at Winter is Coming. So that's a special episode of Dynamite that is due soon. And we're having a face-to-face, so it's going to be a war of words. And we know how good Eddie is on the microphone. To be fair, Samoa is pretty decent himself too. But what Eddie's got to remember is, Samoa Joe has the rest of the ops to rely on. And at the minute, Eddie doesn't have anyone at his side unless he can call on Hangman and Swerve to help him. We know they've both got an issue with, obviously, Samoa Joe and the ops. We've seen them tear through security last week trying to get to the ops, which was a really good show, and the way they did that, I really, really enjoyed that. The way they didn't even look at each other, they just knew exactly what the other one was doing. We could get a trios match at some point in the future, maybe Hangman and Eddie and Swerve. But yeah, so it should be an interesting one. I would expect to see Hangman and Swerve and the ops all get involved. So the main event, well, what I'm calling the main event, there's no order been released. This could in fact be the very first match, but this is the very first time we are going to get Jon Moxley versus Claudio Castagnoli in AEW, and I, for one, am excited. I can't wait. Ever since they announced the tournament and I realised that they were in the same league, I've been excited like a little child. Jon Moxley obviously is my favourite wrestler, and Claudio is just brilliant. I've loved Claudio ever since I've seen him in Ring of Honor years and years ago, and then obviously in WWE. I enjoyed him, but they didn't want to push him for whatever reason, which I always found strange. But then obviously since coming to AEW, he's been able to step up gear. He's former 2-time Ring of Honor World Champion. He's now the current CMLL World Heavyweight Champion. And he's facing against Jon Moxley, who's been the greatest signing in AEW's history in my mind. He's a 4-time AEW World Champion. He's a 1-time IWGP Heavyweight Champion and a 1-time Mickey Mouse Champion too. Do you know what? I find this really hard to call. Both have victories in their first matches. So one of these guys isn't going to win. Or could we get a draw? You see, I wouldn't be against them doing a time draw here. Because, do you know what? Obviously, Mox is the leader of the Death Riders. But if anyone in the Death Riders could actually go toe-to-toe with Mox, it is Claudio. I'd expect Mox to beat Wheeler, to beat Garcia, even to be Pac, to be fair. I expect him to struggle a bit against Claudio. And, of course, don't forget, Jon Moxley's been tapping out, obviously, to Kyle O'Reilly as of late, and Darby Allin. He quit to Darby Allin at the pay-per-view, didn't he? So, do you know what? Like Claudio, no submission moves. We've seen him use a sharpshooter before. Could he, in fact, put Mox in the submission? He knows Mox's weakness. We've not seen a weakness in Jon Moxley since he's come to AEW, but this is definitely a weakness of his as of late. So, I'm finding it really hard. Like, a lot of people I've seen online saying Claudio's going to pick up the victory and then the Death Rider's going to turn on Mox. I can't see that happening for the simple fact is we're in the middle of a tournament. So if the Death Riders lay out Moxley, it's got to be... If they lay him out, like they want to do it obviously brutal and that's what the Death Riders are. But then it's not going to be believable then when he rocks up next week going, right, I'm still in this tournament and need to continue, you know what I mean? And would they take him out the tournament after only having 2 matches? I can't see it. So I feel like if they were going to do that, this match wouldn't be this early in the tournament. It'd be like the last match of the group, if you like. And then that'd be like Mox being eliminated, if you get what I mean. And then obviously Claudio taking over. So with it being so early, I don't think that's going to be the case. Now, Jon Moxley picking up the victory against Claudio, makes sense. He is the leader. Like I say, he's the only 4-time AEW World Champion. But Claudio's literally just picked up the World Championship, the CMLL World Championship, in between last week and this week. So, obviously he's on a run at the minute. And yes, I know the title's not an AEW title, but AEW do something that not a lot of other main companies do, and that's they respect the lineage of another company's world title. So they will protect Claudio while he's the world champ. We've seen it so far with Takeshita. He's not taking silly pins while he's the IWGP world champion. So, you know what? I'm going to call it as a time limit draw. I know it might be a cop-out, but I can't see how they're booking this, and this is why I'm so excited to watch it. I'm really excited to watch this. Last time these two faced each other was Dean Ambrose versus Cesaro in an episode of Raw about 7-8 years ago. So I am really excited to see this version of Jon Moxley versus this version of Claudio. You know, these obviously 10 times better the wrestlers that they ever were in WWE. You know, they've been given time to adapt and change the styles. You know, Jon Moxley can adapt his style to pretty much anyone he wrestles against, but so too can Claudio. So it's like a little enlarged version of the same person, really, isn't it? I'd probably say Mox is more the brawler and probably more the technician, and Claudio's just more brute strength and brute power than what Mox is. But like, in 20 minutes, like if this was an hour, then I'd have to pick someone, or even half an hour, but 20 minutes, I think these two could literally knock 7 shades of crap out of each other for 20 minutes, and then the bell goes, and I think everyone would be happy with that. So that's what I'm going for. I'm going for the time limit draw. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Yes, call me a cop-out if you like, but that's what I'm going with. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Please let me know your predictions. It would be good to go back through after the show and see which one of us had more correct. So as always, if you haven't already, please do like, drop us a comment, and of course the most important one is drop us a subscription. Please do subscribe to the wrestling group today.